Joining us now is security consultant Jonathan T. Gilliam, a former Navy SEAL and ex-FBI special agent. So thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be here
tonight, Jonathan. I guess the first question I want to ask you is about the possibility of the second suspect.
Right.
How do they know, and where could this person be?
Well, obviously there's details that they're not releasing in their press conferences. So they probably have video footage or even eyewitness accounts of something. The problem with this location is that it is military, and the people that they described looked military.
Right.
So I'm sure that they're accessing the camera footage and probably following any leads that they have.
Let's talk about access. Okay, now we know this guy was a contractor and probably had a very active card to be able to get into the base.
Right.
What happens after that, though? I mean, there was supposedly some kind of a shootout there at the gate itself. How did all of that happen without anybody saying, hey, we got to do something here? Right.
Well, when a shootout happens, everything is so fast and it's all responsive. So the fact that he was able to get to the main gate, he's a contractor, probably nobody even thinking anything of that nature.
It was a verified card.
Verified card.
Yeah.
He gets into a shootout, and then that card gives him access into the building so he can then further his attack. That is really, I don't know if he planned it, probably did plan it that way, but that is something that it's very difficult to stop if they have inner access. And we've seen this at Fort Hood, for instance, other school shootings, for instance, known students, when they're inside the school, they have the ability to access it because they're already known.
Okay, so Jonathan, this information that we've learned so far about the suspect, from your experience, what does this tell you about this particular person and their level of ability?
Well, it depends on if they are somebody who has a vengeance against a workplace or if this is actually a terrorist attack.
Right.
Terrorist attacks are typically, I would say, better thought out than most lone shooters who just have a vendetta, like workplace shooters. They go there with a vengeance and they're just full of rage. Whereas if it's a terrorist type attack, there's surveillance, there's thought process that goes through this. Not saying all criminals don't do that, but typically that's what you see in a terrorist type attack, is a more well thought out, planned operation.
Is that the reason why the FBI is involved in this case now? I mean, did they suspect that kind of conspiracy or terrorist act?
It could be. This is a federal facility, so and the fact that it is a mass killing, the fact that it spreads over different states, the FBI is going to take the lead, even if it's not known that it's terrorism. If it's suspected, the FBI is the lead investigator. The FBI doesn't have to get involved just because they don't get involved just because they know it's an attack. They get involved when they suspect it's an attack.
So how do they take further precautions? I mean, the fact that this could happen here means really it could happen anywhere.
Well, I'll tell you, I say it again and again, the number one thing we can do, especially here in New York, is awareness. And awareness does not mean paranoia. Awareness is understanding your surroundings. Why would somebody come into your surroundings? And knowing that this type of thing can happen anywhere. If it can happen at a school, if it can happen at an elementary school, it can happen at any workplace. So you have to have plans of escape, plans on if you have to shelter in place. You have to know where and what are the ramifications of sheltering in that location. And law enforcement, these individuals in this country, they're the best at what they do, but you cannot solely rely on law enforcement. You have to have a plan of action for yourself.
What a tragic story. Jonathan Gilliam, security consultant, thank you very much for joining us and for the information today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.